Test pilots have always captured the public's imagination, from the Wright brothers, who built and tested their own designs, to Lucky Lindy, who was the toast of two continents, down to Chuck Yeager and the modern-day astronauts. The movie The Right Stuff captured the mystique that surrounds test piloting. But has modern technology eliminated the need for that independent and courageous breed? Special assignment reporter Chuck Caro looks into the problem of test piloting in this piece that we called Testing the Limits.
Test flying high-performance aircraft has its dark side. Aircraft can sometimes fail. Controls can go. Structures can shear away. A hidden flaw can rise up and bring disaster, instantaneous and fatal. 30 years ago, a test pilot faced about a 20% chance of not living through his career. It was against this backdrop that test pilots like Chuck Yeager blazed a glowing trail. Yeager became legendary when in 1947 he became the first man to break the sound barrier, piloting the XS-1 rocket plane. Yeager personified the test pilot's mystique, and that mystique is paying off for Yeager today as he pitches automotive parts.
Hot or cold, it's got the starting power you can depend on.
Wally Schirra is busy using his credentials as a former test pilot and astronaut to endorse a cold medicine used by pilots.
I took Actifed.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
And John Glenn is a senator seeking the presidency and is using his reputation as a test pilot and astronaut to win the nomination. The Right Stuff, a hit movie about these test pilots and early astronauts, is playing in theaters across the country. All of this selling is based on the rediscovered popularity of the test pilot's mystique, as in this scene from the movie portraying Yeager's wild ride when his X-1A rocket plane went out of control. Yeager, the original true brother of the Right Stuff, did it all for nothing more than his Air Force pay.
But that was over a generation ago. Some observers say that test flying has permanently changed, that it's all computerized and telemetered, just about homogenized. And there are cynics who say that since Vietnam, since Watergate, there are no more heroes, no more idealistic warriors, no more torchbearers willing to put their human hides on the line just to challenge the unknown. Well, they may be right, but in at least one place, they're probably wrong.
The high desert of California, a sea of sand, sagebrush, and cactus, 150 miles northeast of Los Angeles. In this arid, windswept place is the ancestral home of the Right Stuff, Edwards Air Force Base. Dawn. The morning calm is contrasted by the sensation of electricity in the air. Every day they test airplanes here, from fighters like the new F-20 Tiger Shark, sleek, hot, and agile, to the B-1 bomber, huge, sophisticated, and fast. Even the space shuttles have been tested and landed at Edwards. And it is here that the craft of test piloting is passed on to younger aviators. This is the prestigious Air Force Test Pilot School, whose commandants have included Chuck Yeager himself at the pinnacle of his career after many years of being the fastest and highest flying man on the planet. Colonel Buzz Aldrin, the Apollo astronaut who became the second American to walk on the moon, also held the post. Colonel Mel Hayashi is the school's newest boss and is arguably one of the hottest test pilots in the Air Force. A full colonel at only 41, he earned a Silver Star, Distinguished Flying Cross, and 22 air medals for flying more than 100 unarmed reconnaissance missions over North Vietnam. High technology has transformed the school's orientation from the art of stick and rudder flying to the science of advanced aeronautics. The same technology, remote sensors that instantaneously transmit data to the ground, computers of all types, have made contemporary test flying statistically less hazardous. But things can and still do go wrong. Yet Hayashi and his colleagues, like their predecessors, remain detached from fears of a fatal crash.
If there is an uncommanded input in the flight control system which forces the airplane down, then you won't have a chance. That's something beyond the pilot's control, so he has to accept that.
This is an unmanned drone, here being used to explore aerodynamic flutter. It suffers a catastrophic failure during trials of a new kind of wing. Why not use drones like this all the time to save money and test pilots' lives?
The overall Capability of the weapon system means there's a man in the loop, because he is part of the weapon system. He has human feelings, he has response times, he has capabilities to interpret information he has on a head-up display, on a radar tube, or whatever. Now, if we can program computers to do that, and maybe we can in the future, and do that effectively, then maybe we'll see more of that. But right now, all the airplanes we're buying that are on the books are manned airplanes, so we got to test with men in the airplanes.
About 20 test pilot candidates are selected semi-annually. They must have a minimum of 1,000 hours of jet flying time, an engineering or science degree, masters are preferred, and top-rate military credentials.
The kind of recommendation I like to see is a guy who says, well, this guy's a really top-notch pilot. He's really good. Or this guy is very meticulous, he's very professional, he's very technically competent. I like to see that.
Once selected, a class begins 46 grinding weeks of intensive study. While the classroom atmosphere is casual and somewhat laid back, the subject matter is sophisticated and very tough.
Your equivalent airspeed is building because of altitude. Remember, true airspeed is proportional to equivalent airspeed divided by 1 over the square root of the atmospheric density.
The grind is alleviated somewhat by training flights in a variety of aircraft. The cost of all that training is very expensive, over $600,000 in direct costs alone. To ensure that the investment keeps on paying off, Colonel Hayashi and his instructors must keep their flying skills in top shape so that their students can receive the very finest training. Here, Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle, grandson of World War II General Jimmy Doolittle, prepares for proficiency flight on what is euphemistically called a departure mission, a departure from controlled flight.
The typical low-speed departures like we're doing here, the airplane will go out of control, do a mad flip-flop of a maneuver, and then recover very, very nose low, something anywhere from 60 to 90 degrees nose low at a very low airspeed.
There's 20,000 feet number covered. Report copies recovered, sir.
He pulls the A-7 straight up. It stalls, slices to one side, and starts a violent gyration. Doolittle, calm as a rock, keeps up the play-by-play.
200 knots, 10 units. 22. Number coverage, report, 21. Report copies recovered, passing 200 now.
After a hard day, Hayashi and other pilots stop at the Officers Club for a cool one and some shop talk, better known as hangar flying.
The airplane goes, aha, I'm unstable. Whack.
But the image of test pilots portrayed in the movie The Right Stuff as hard-driving, hard-drinking, hotshot flyboys has been downplayed in recent years.
We still use the Officers Club as a social setting to form camaraderie, to even discuss business. But Secretary of Defense Weinberger has signed a new law code for us in the military, which if a person is found driving while intoxicated or under the influence, he faces a suspension of driving privileges on a military installation for a year. And when I talk to my guys, I make it clear that they've come a long way in their careers, and they are obviously pretty capable people, otherwise they wouldn't be here. And it would take one small mistake to really jeopardize that career.
Even with different personal styles and the great changes in technology, the pilots at Edwards, like their predecessors, live to fly. And the most coveted kind of flying is test flying a brand new airplane. The newest and hottest airplane at Edwards is the F-20 Tiger Shark. This reporter went along in a chase plane as Northrop's chief test pilot Darrell Cornell took the F-20 up for a functional control flight, another euphemism for a maximum performance test. After takeoff, Cornell took the Tiger Shark through a series of maneuvers. On the ground, technicians monitor a computerized image of the Tiger Shark generated by sensors on the airplane and instantaneously transmitted to the ground by radio. As Cornell rolls the Tiger Shark, the technicians get a computerized look at the maneuver. Next, cruising along at 500 knots, Cornell checks acceleration. Though we both go into maximum power simultaneously, the Tiger Shark scoots away, then zooms up to 45,000 feet. After another roll and a little upside-down flying, Cornell approaches for a landing and touches down gently, raising the nose for better aerodynamic braking. Cornell's appraisal of a ride in a highly sophisticated $10 million fighter is straight out of the right stuff.
Just like to jump in and go again, but now I got to go do some paperwork. The fun part's over.
From Edwards Air Force Base, this is Chuck Caro, CNN, on special assignment.
That's special assignments for this weekend. If you have any comments or stories you'd like us to investigate, please write to Special Assignments, care of Cable News Network, 2133 Wisconsin Avenue, Washington, D.C. 20007. For Special Assignments, I'm Ted Kavanaugh.